Welcome to today's discussion on our continuation relating to place of supply. We will now proceed with our discussion on international transaction, and maybe after international transaction we can take up all those practical problems together. It's my perception and view. Being early morning, okay. So on fresh thoughts, we'll take it up international transactions. Section 11 and section 13 of IGST Act discuss about all the complete international transactions related matter. Section 11 of IGST Act comes out and highlights to us that in case of import of goods, in case of export of goods, how place of supply will be determined. If you cross-read with section 10, section 10 will discuss about determination of place of supply other than import or export of goods. So this gives us an understanding. 10 will be for domestic, 11 will be for international when it comes to goods. Similarly, services, section 12 used the word determination of place of supply, where location of supplier and location of recipient is in taxable territory. Now, in an international transaction, only one word is getting corrected there in section 13. Location of supplier or location of recipient in non-taxable territory. Maybe you can also consider that as a correction. But for these two word changes, or and non-taxable territory, rest all in terms of its conceptual understanding remains same. Basics. Coming back once again here, relating to export of goods, export of service, import of goods, import of service. These are going to be the prime discussion. But the way in which the export sections is worded, you can land up that there would be a possibility of 4 combination possible in services alone. Import of service, not an import of service. Export of service, not an export of service. Sir, what do you mean by this import of service and not an import of service? When we take up that relevant definition, at that time, I'll spend some more time, but I want you to broadly appreciate these are all going to be our discussion, plus followed by few activities, few transactions that are going to happen in case how it has to be determined. Maybe I personally believe the content section itself will take about 120 minutes or so. So as a session, we have to close it at that level. We'll try. In case anything is possible to take it up, yes, we will take it. Just give me a moment. I'm about to open the presentation. Now, a few questions that comes up for our discussion over here are, in case of international transactions. As far as international transaction is concerned, as we earlier highlighted, it is going to be clearly all those link or transactions between US, UK, German, Japan on those connectivity only. Beyond that, new transactions we will not have. Only all those transactions in connection with US, UK, German, Japan, either supply of goods or supply of services are going to be covered over here. Having said all this, to be more precise, import of goods, export of goods. Let's understand this definition. A lot of you know about this definition. I'm not much bothered about this definition on a single note that because at an earlier level you would have read this definition. Even otherwise, now also this definition is self-explanatory. Import of goods. With that grammatical variation and cognate expression means bringing goods into India from a place outside India. I only want all of us to concentrate on those words alone. Bringing goods into India from a place outside India. Sir, I went to foreign country for a pleasure trip. In return, I brought a laptop. In return, I bought a mobile phone. While returning, I bought certain perfumes. Is it import? When we go back and ask a very simple question, very, very fundamental question, which used to happen whenever people go out of India, come back to India, they bring certain electronic products or sometimes certain other products. Sometimes few of them bring gold. Based on their period of stay, everything would differ. If they have been there out of India for a period more than 4 or 5 years, there would be a quite good possibility they may bring gold also. So the final points over here, or a little important points over here is bringing goods into India from a place outside India. From a place outside India, goods is brought into India. That's all will be treated as imported. Why again this repeat this word? Because see kindly the section does not envisage whether you are going to sell this in India, whether you're going to personally use it in India, whether you brought it for some testing purposes, whether you will brought it for some exhibition purposes, nothing. Are you bringing goods into India from a place outside India? Very comfortably, yes. Then a very specific term, then it would be treated as import of goods. Similarly, export of goods, taking goods from a place out of India to a place outside India. Taking goods out of India to a place outside India. So from India, goods goes outside. We will call it as export. A very fundamental definition, simple definition. Again, section 11 is also an easiest section in my view, in my very, very personal view. I don't think so section 11 will be tested at the final level itself. Section 11 is meant only for an earlier level discussion. It's not meant for final level discussion. But it is there, section is there, we have to read, so we are reading it. In case of section 11 of IGST Act, that too more specifically, place of supply of imported goods into India place of supply will be based on the location of import. Again, this is for some other purposes. Place of supply is importer. Maybe little helpful for certain purposes, but I'll come back to you sometime a while later. At that time, we will understand Really, are we bothered about these definitions or this section 11 itself? Is it really important or not? We might have a very, very different. Coming back here, getting into goods imported into India from a place outside India, then very simple. The location of importer is going to be place of supply. Goods exported from India, then how to determine place of supply? Very simple. The place outside India where it is exported, that will become place of supply. The location outside India where the goods are exported, that would become place of supply. You can ask me, sir, why you never emphasized much for this transaction? See, I'll I'll highlight to you why. Now, one of the very important reason of determination of place of supply is to determine nature of supply. Let me repeat it. Why place of supply becomes a very important topic? Because you need to decide a nature of supply. If location of supplier and place of supply are going to be in same state, we will call it as intra. Otherwise, we'll call it as inter. We know that. When it comes to import of goods, always you will call it as what? Interstate supply. Then where is the charm of place of supply? Can somebody highlight to me? Can we able to appreciate this discussion? First of all, see, this is a little elevated discussion. Maybe at a final level only we can discuss. At an earlier level, though this topic is available, we will not much discuss about it. Come back here. The core discussion is this. Location of supplier and place of supply is a trigger factor to decide nature of supply. When it comes to import of goods, always it is interstate supply. That is how we understood. Or in other words, section 7, subsection 2 came out and of IGST Act came out and highlighted in case of import of goods, place of supply will be interstate supply. Nature of supply will be interstate supply. Now my fundamental question is, why section 11, this topic then becomes important? Any thought process? Why location of importer is needed? I do understand, no doubt about it. If you are going to import goods, you can close your eyes and say interstate supply, sir. You don't need to refer anything. But then why you again come out and say location of importer is going to be place of supply? When import means always interstate supply, why then the marking of place of supply is the question before. Anybody? Yes. If you want, you text it, but texting it will be little huge. If you want, you can raise your hand. I can unmute yourself. Quick, 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 quick. Yes. Yes. Any views? Anything? If you could able to raise your hand, yes, I can unmute you. Anybody? Any thoughts? Anything comes into the mind? Why? What is the need? All that and all. Yes. Quick. Yes. Anything comes to mind. So I'll do one thing at this level. I'll stop it because a lot of you have to think a little bit about it. You will get it. You will get it. So it's not because only of import or export from India. There is something. There is a revenue sharing behind it. Maybe that could be the clue relating to it. So you have to think it in a little larger spec. You all know in import what will happen. Okay, all that and all. So from an import perspective, from an export perspective, no doubt the transaction is always an interstate supply. Irrespective of transaction is always interstate supply. Why we are determining place of supply? Can we able to understand this logic? See, in a if I move the goods from Tamil Nadu to Andhra Pradesh, where I give delivery matters, because if I give delivery at Tamil Nadu, my place of supply is Tamil Nadu. If I give delivery at Andhra Pradesh, again my place of supply is Andhra Pradesh. If my place of supply is Tamil Nadu, I am a supplier located in Tamil Nadu. My transaction will become intra-state supply. If my place of supply is Andhra Pradesh, then my transaction will become interstate supply. So my place of supply is important. Okay. Now, in an import of goods, in an export of goods, always it is going to be interstate supply. Then why place of supply is important? Can you able to appreciate this discussion? We are getting into a very big question. Why place of supply is important? Requires a little detailed deliberation. For which you have to put a step forward. Okay. If you are not putting a step forward, it will not be beneficial discussion at all. Let that not be discussed, and we will move to another exam oriented discussion and leave away it at a later point in time. That why will be answered over a period of time. Yes. So let me repeat the question. Any thoughts? Why you need a place of supply for even export or import of goods, irrespective of always nature of supply is going to be interstate supply. Always nature of supply is going to be interstate supply. Why then needed? Let me repeat it. If you're going to say place of supply is Tamil Nadu also, you're going to pay interstate, you are going to treat it as interstate supply. Your location of importer. Location of importer is Andhra Pradesh also. You're going to treat it as interstate supply. Am I right? Yes or no? Do you all agree with me on that count at least? If you're going to import the goods, in Andhra Pradesh, or if you're going to import the goods in Maharashtra, or you're going to import the goods in Karnataka, or you're going to import the goods in Gujarat, irrespective of which place you're going to import, always NOS, nature of supply, is going to be interstate supply. That first, are you agreeing with me? Yes or no? Quick. I want some responses. Yes or no? Then, yes, all of you agree with me. Irrespective of which place is going to come, always it is going to be interstate supply. We are now raising our bar. Why then place of supply is needed? Prasad comes up with a view. Government should know which state is making import and which state is making export. Because of that, what is going to happen? Which state is making import, which state is making export? When we go back, maybe I'll extend that example. Yes. Okay. Haripriya raises another valid question. Sir, goods is imported in West Bengal port, but the importer is in Tamil Nadu. Sir, is it possible? Very much possible. Let me repeat it. Nice views, Haripriya. Very much possible. I need to supply some goods to Assam, Guwahati. Good importer will import at West Bengal, clear the goods there, supply directly there. Then a normal importer who has office in Tamil Nadu will import here and send it through lorry. Okay, I agree with you on one count. Because of this, what happens? A little more. Abba, Vishnu Prasad got the logic. Because of the tax revenue distribution between union and the state government. Come on, understand. I don't find any importance beyond your revenue distribution. Okay, let me repeat it. Revenue distribution. There is a revenue distribution that happens. Sir, how it will happen? If you import it for a further sale, matter ends there. It will be IGST only. But sometimes there will be import for a personal consumption. Kindly understand. Many times there are import for a personal consumption. Meaning thereby, one company will import, will if they use it for a business purpose, let me repeat, if they use it for a business purpose, then if they use it for a business purpose, then no doubt it is going to get carried forward. IGST credit they will take. So the fund will be a revolving fund. Sometime it will be an individual who will import for his personal purpose. At that time, how much revenue from this IGST should go to your state government. There are cases where export with the payment of tax. There is also a model called as export without payment of tax. I am not much bothered about export without payment of tax. I am again not bothered about export of goods or services with the payment of tax. There are cases where it is an export of goods with the payment of tax, export with payment of tax. But some of the conditions mentioned in GST, when we go to export topic, we will learn. Some of the conditions mentioned in GST, the supplier has not satisfied. Because supplier has not satisfied, I will not give him the refund. When I am not going to give refund, how am I going to distribute this revenue? If the transaction is going to be a export of goods, in my humble view, beyond distribution of revenue, okay, beyond distribution of revenue, nothing is relevant. Again, let me repeat it one more point. When it comes to export, very clear constitutional understanding. Revenue will go only to central government. Very, very clear understanding. The right to tax an export transaction itself is always with central government. Sir, import also with central government. No, correct. Import with central government with the understanding of revenue sharing. Because the complete IGST, let me repeat, complete IGST collected from the customs department at the time goods comes in. See, understand like this. From a foreign country, when goods comes in, this month, let's say 20,000 crores, 20,000 crores is collected as IGST. On an average, 16 to 17,000 crores ITC will be claimed. That balance 3,000 crores is there, no? That 3,000 crores, no doubt, half share goes to what? Central government. Okay, give him 1,500 crores. Now that balance 1,500 crores is there, no? How that need to be distributed among all your 31 registrations. For that purpose only, you require a place of supply. Beyond that, let me repeat, beyond that, this section has no purpose. Understand the logic, because often your thoughts will contradict yourself. May not be today, because we are doing a compartmental reading. When you are doing a compartmental reading, the challenge is you understand a topic today, you digest that topic today, and it is closed for the day. Maybe for a next session, it will get opened. Again, some more discussion, closed. When all thoughts are combined together on the D-Day, when we take up our book, on the D-Day, we will have certain challenges and fundamental questions will rise. எப்போ நீ இம்போர்ட் பண்ணாலும் அது இன்ட்ரஸ்டேட் சப்ளை தான், எப்போ எக்ஸ்போர்ட் பண்ணாலும் இன்ட்ரஸ்டேட் சப்ளை தான். அது வேற நீ அங்க ஓவர் ரைடிங் எஃபெக்ட்ல வச்சிருக்க. இதெல்லாம் இல்ல அப்படின்னா ஆர்டிகல் 269A நீ ஏற்கனவே சொல்லிட்ட, இம்போர்ட் ஆஃப் குட்ஸ், இம்போர்ட் ஆஃப் சர்வீஸ் will always be treated as a interstate supply. கான்ஸ்டிடியூஷனல்ல ஒரு என்ட்ரி வச்சிருக்க. இதெல்லாம் தாண்டி எதுக்குடா உனக்கு ஒரு பிளேஸ் ஆஃப் சப்ளை செக்ஷன்? When you have that thought, come on, your answer is in distribution of revenue. Let me repeat. This was not my answer when it comes to section 10 discussion. This was not my answer when it comes to section 12 discussion. This is my new answer for section 11 discussion. Only at final this can be discussed. Understand, for a revenue distribution. Yes, this place of supply gains its momentum. Momentum, need, purpose, everything. Very simple discussion. If you are importing goods, location of importer is place of supply. As Haripriya Mohan very rightly said, there are possibilities. You can import the goods at Gujarat having a West Bengal registration, having a Maharashtra registration. When it comes to import of goods, you can import whichever GST number in whichever port you want. Sir, can a Maharashtra person import goods in Tamil Nadu? Very rightly possible. Yes. Yes. No harm. No harm, absolutely. Very rightly possible. So our discussion over here is very simple. In case of import of goods, place of supply is location of importer. In case of export of goods, place of supply is the place where the goods are exported outside India. What is the place that goods are going to be exported? That would become your place of supply. And this comfortably sums up your section 11 of IGST Act, which discuss about import and export of goods. On a conjoint reading between section 10 and section 11, which discuss about place of supply of goods, I think we all will agree on certain counts. A very fundamental question we will ask: a transaction. A transaction. First question we'll ask: is it import or export? If the answer that we get yes, then we will direct it to 11. If the answer we get no, then we will direct to section 10. In section 10, we will again ask a further question. Is your goods involves movement? Then we will direct it to section 10A or 10B. Else we will direct it straight away to 10C. No. Special circumstance. My goods involves assembling, 10D. No. My goods is supplied on an onboard conveyance, then 10E. Hope you understand. Among 10A, 10B, how should I select? You are the person giving instruction. You are the person going to deliver the goods. To whom your goods are delivered? Yes, sir. Then 10A. No, there is a movement. I give instruction, but goods will be delivered there. Then 10B, bill to ship to. Hope you could able to get the complete picture of 10 and 11 movements. See, I have very quickly summed up. I know by myself, I have very quickly summed up the complete 3.5 hours discussion. But that is the grip that we need to have. The thought pattern should go, because at a final level, don't expect clues will be available in the question. Don't expect and go. By seeing the question, you should be in a position to decide. At least at an earlier level, I do agree, where a clue will be determined. Determine place of supply as per 10. Determine place of supply as per 11. Clue is available for you. It's an open-ended question, clearly open-ended question, where that too, the experiences of some of the last few case study questions that we have on this particular paper reveals like this only. We will have a question. That question need to be decided at. So yes, if you are through with this, we can move forward towards a next discussion, a very important discussion on international transaction relating to import or export of services. Yes. In goods, any doubts? Can we move forward? Yes. Two important definitions, which is more relevant from international discussion of services perspective, place of supply services perspective. The first definition is 2 subsection 11, which talks about import of service. Do I need to remember section number? Yeah. 2 subsection 6, export of service. Now, All that I want you to highlight over here is only one aspect. Do something, take complete grip on this two definition, because this two definition is so much important. 211 comes out and says what is import of service. A transaction will be called as import of service if supplier of service is located in non-taxable territory. Recipient of service is located in taxable territory. Place of supply is taxable territory. If this three conditions spelled out is satisfied only, you will call a transaction as import of service. For me, these three conditions has to be satisfied. If you satisfy these three conditions, then only I will call the transaction as a import of service. Otherwise, I will not call the transaction as an import of service. In case supplier is in non-taxable territory, recipient is in taxable territory, place of supply is non-taxable territory. Let me repeat, I am getting into an alternate discussion. Supplier is in non-taxable territory, recipient is in taxable territory in India, place of supply for that transaction, which we will determine as per section 13, is going to be NTT. Then our answer will be, it is not an import of service. When something is not an import of service, then under section 5.3 read along with the notification, RCM is applicable, not applicable. If something is not an import of service, under section 5.3, RCM applicable, not applicable. Quick. Yes. RCM applicable, not applicable. Quick. I want answer. That's the confirmation that you start understanding this logics. If it is an import of service, no doubt RCM is applicable. If it is not an import of service, sir, how not an import of service? Supplier, I'll give you a small practical question. You decide now. Location of supplier is France. Location of recipient is India. Place of supply for this transaction is India, the place where the construction is happening. Okay. Now the question before you, is it import of service or not a import of service? Is it import of service or not an import of service? RCM applicable or not? Is it import of service or not an import of service? RCM applicable, not applicable. That is what is going to be our further questions. Quick. A few of you answer. If few of you can answer, everybody can answer. Whoever answered till now, all of you are right. That's all I can share. Vivekanandan, check your answer. Whomever answered, all of you are all very clear. You all highlighted, yes, it is an import of service. I'm little changing the perspective of this question. Location of supplier is again France. Location of recipient is in India, a construction company in India. Place of supply alone is going to be Dubai. Import of service, not an import of service. RCM applicable or not applicable. That's all. Quick, quick. I want responses. Quick. Think about it. Supplier is outside India. Recipient is in India. Place of supply outside India. So first test, is it import of service, not an import of service as per 211. Once it is not an import of service, then you have to very clearly say under section 5.3 RCM is not applicable. Or if you conclude yes, it is import of service, then RCM is applicable. That's how you have to conclude here. Quick. A very crucial discussion. Many times people fall on the case study question on this area. See, they will be good in place of supply. They will be good in other provisions. But the key element is this. Many people fail to understand 211 and 26. They want to see every transaction through the eyes of place of supply. No. This one slide is such an important slide for you because it throws you 4 options. Import of service, not an import of service. Treatment is different. Export of service, not an export of service. Treatment is different. Quick. More than half of you not answered it consciously. I don't know why. Let me repeat. More than half of you, no, 60% of you not answered. I am unable to understand that reasoning itself. I only expect the 4 letters. Beyond that, I don't expect anything. Some of you are little brief itself. I am happy for you, but I only expect 4 letters. That's all. Either import of service or not an import of service. That's all. If we say that typing out that 4 letters is going to be the toughest part, I leave it to you. Whomever answered, all of you all, Haripriya Mohan, check. Haripriya Mohan, check. Vishnu Prasad, check. Janani, check. Kritika Prakash, check your answer. Sai Subramaniam, you have changed your answer, right? Okay. Vaishnavi K, Ambika S. இல்ல ஒரு நிமிஷம் இருங்க நான் தான் தப்பு பண்ணிட்டேன் நான் தான் தப்பா படிக்கிறேன் சாரி my chat box old history no sorry whomever I called, all of you are all not right. Haripriya Mohan alone, sorry, yes, it would be not an import of service. Why? Location of supplier is location of supplier is France. Location of recipient is in India. Construction happens in Dubai. Place of supply is also mentioned as Dubai. So for an import of service, place of supply has to be in India. Then only it will be treated as import of service. When something is not an import of service, where is the question of reverse charge? You have to simply conclude the case study and let me mind you, your 6-mark case study is on this one small definition. Because it would already test you on place of supply. Okay. 13 subsection 13 subsection 4 will be tested. 13.4 you will determine place of supply, and then you will come back to 211 and answer it along with your reference towards notification levy. Along with your levy you will answer. So let me repeat it. A solid 6-mark question is this. But the 6-mark question is not on the place of supply, nor on the levy. The 6-mark question answer is on this 211 only. Sir, but it is a supply of service and FCM will be applicable. Good. How FCM will be applicable, Sai? How FCM will be applicable is my question. Sir, recipient and all is in India. My question is very simple. In case of import of service, no doubt is a supply. In case of import of service, is it forward charge or reverse charge is the question. We all concluded that it is going to be only reverse charge. When you concluded reverse charge, I fundamentally shake the point here is, it is not an import of service at all. Where is the question of import of service? When the construction happens in Dubai, it is your Dubai country who has the, Middle East who has the, Gulf country who has the right to collect tax, or Indian government or France government. Can you able to understand the problem here? This is a cross-country transaction. Okay, if you happen to interact with some of those some of those people who work with all those multinationals or big four firms, they'll not call it as international transaction. They call it as cross-border transaction. This is a clear cross-border transaction. The supplier belongs to another country, recipient belongs to another country, and the activity happens in the third country. The recipient is in India. The question is not recipient in India, outside India. Recipient in India. Is it an import of service or not? That's all. True? Yes. Can we move forward? If you still have doubts, I would recommend you to raise your hand so that if you unmute, then typing everything, okay, that would be the easiest. Coming back here, getting into next limb of this discussion, export of service. Again, export of service, 5 conditions. At least import of service, 3 conditions. Export of service, 5 conditions. Supplier of service should be located in India. Recipient of service should be located outside India. Place of supply should be outside India. Place of supply outside India. The receipt should be in foreign currency. I should get back money in foreign currency. Both supplier and recipient are not distinct person. It's not head office, branch office in India, outside India. Who are you, sir? I am Indian Bank Limited, Nungabakam branch, Tamil Nadu. I will interact with Indian Bank Limited, Singapore, or Bank of India, let's say Andhra Pradesh, Visakhapatnam branch. Interact with Bank of India, Singapore. End of the day, you are Bank of India. Head office, foreign branch. Sorry, branch office, foreign branch. That's all. Any interaction between distinct person, a person's establishment in a state, in a country, and the same person's establishment in another country will be treated as two distinct persons. Google Inc. Google Inc. and Google Inc. USA and Google Inc. India, P in India, permanent established in India, get a little interest on your transfer pricing. Then only your understanding will be appreciated more. 92A, all this stuff and all. So coming back here, you have a, let me repeat it, I am not discussing about Google India Private Limited. அது வேற company. Sir, parent ஒண்ணுதான். So பாருங்க, you all belong to same family. Let me repeat, you all belong to same family. Then you are different, your father is different, for all said and done. Okay. You created a cloning of you. Cloning. Sir, will come, sir, will come. Research, highest research on mankind is going on cloning, creating a cloning. A cloning is created. Sir, cloning and you, first cloning, second cloning, third cloning. Head office, branch office. Sir, one cloning in foreign country. You foreign cloning. That's all. Let me repeat, that's all. This example might be crazy. Let me repeat it. That is the best understanding. No, sir, that is head office, Google Inc. is only my owner of Google India Private Limited. For all the 110 companies that are there throughout the world, one company is the owner, Google Inc. Just for your information. For all the 124 companies in the world, only one company is owner, Microsoft Inc. Okay. You and me cannot change that model. But understand, Microsoft Inc. and Microsoft India Private Limited are two different persons. Different language, English. Microsoft Inc. and Microsoft Inc. USA, Microsoft Inc. India are two distinct persons. Ramco Systems Limited, Indian company, and Ramco Systems Limited, Dubai office are two distinct persons. HO, Chennai, foreign branch. Foreign branch. To do work here, you have an office there, you source work there and give it to me here. Sometimes you ask me to contract there itself on big contracts. Sometimes based on the needs. That's all. End of the day, they do some work. Okay. Sometimes a small project, there itself they do. Understand? Very clear wording. Foreign branch is not a different person. It's a distinct person. Like how Andhra Pradesh and Karnataka branches, Andhra Pradesh branch and Karnataka branch are treated as distinct person. Similarly, Indian branch and foreign branch of the same company are treated as distinct person. This one word, they will confuse it to the core. They will say branches. People will never understand the importance of a word at all. Thank God in questions it will not be like that. Questions will be very clear. Holding company is in USA. Subsidiary company is in India. Is it a different person or a distinct person? Let me caution you, it's a different person. Holding company will have a separate incorporation certificate, company in existence by itself, and subsidiary company is a separate company by itself. No sir, this subsidiary company owner company வேற அப்பனா தலையெழுத்தே வேற. Given birth to a different fellow, then that fellow is different, this fellow is different. That karma theory will not come here. That karma theory will close there only. Sir, end of the day, whole profit, everything. No stories. See, let me repeat it. This is one very, very high-end problem that we have in almost all export-related questions. Almost all export-related questions. And invariably, it is very tough for somebody to really digest this difference. Okay. with due respect, we still have few professionals, few government officials who are providing service only to your own HO only, no? HO na? அதான் சிங்கப்பூர்ல இருக்காங்களே. Barclays Financial Services India Private Limited will provide services to Barclays Inc. only. Sutherland Services, Sutherland Global Services Private Limited will provide service to Sutherland only. Sutherland is what? HO or parent company? Parent company. Where he is incorporated? USA. Sutherland Global Solutions Private Limited is where? Here in India. Where is your head office? Maharashtra. Now the point to be understood here is both of us has two different existence. Both of them are different person. If the same Sutherland Inc. USA has an office in Chennai as Sutherland Inc., then it would be treated as distinct person. I think I have given enough example. With this last example, I'll close. Tata Consultancy Services TCS Limited, India, has an office in UK. Seven Hills, name of the building. Say as what? TCS Limited. As TCS Limited. Infosys Technology Limited has an office in USA as Infosys Limited. Infosys Technology Limited. Question for us is distinct person. Indian company having a foreign branch office. Foreign company having an Indian branch office. Sutherland Mortgages, Sutherland Holdings and Mortgages, Inc., USA, has an office in Kochi, as branch office, not as Sutherland Global Solutions Private Limited, SGS, given a same name, then you will call it as branch office. This is my complete discussion. Make us most comfortable of it, because many time the beautiful case study lost in this one small definition. It's lost. It's completely lost in this definition. And here is it not only that distinct person is important, currency should come in forex. I don't want Indian rupee and all as intern receipt. I want only in foreign currency. If you want to enjoy export of service benefits, if you want to enjoy export of service benefits, then it has to come in forex. Plus three regular conditions: supplier in taxable territory, recipient in non-taxable territory, place of supply non-taxable. Yes. This sums up your definition. Maybe we'll take up a question, and then we will take up further discussion on this topic. Sorry, wrong post. 1 minute. While under correction, it just got posted. Ignore that post. A location of supplier is in India, Tamil Nadu. Location of recipient is New York, USA. Place of supply is USA. Some software services, money received in foreign currency. Supplier and recipient are not distinct person. So, is it an export of service? Not an export of service. That's all. A very simple question. Is it export of service? Not an export of service. Quick. Whoever answered no, all of you are to export of service, not an export of service. Good, all of you all through. Now, next question. Location of supplier is in India. Location of recipient is in New York. Place of supply is also USA. But however, money is received in INR. To the bank account of the Indian company, money is received in INR. No doubt, supplier and recipient are not related person. I'm holding the same discussion. Export of service, not a export of service. Okay. If you say export or not an export of service, in case if you're going to conclude not an export of service, I want to know what is an impact on this transaction. If it is not an export of service, you have to now land up whether it will be leviable to GST or not leviable to GST. That is the next discussion. If it is an export of service, no doubt you can enjoy certain export benefits. You can export goods even without payment of tax. When you come out and conclude if it is not an export of service for some reason, then I want to know the impact of this transaction. Am I liable for GST in India if it is not an export of service? Quick. Quick. Vivekanandan, check your answer. Yes, a few of you answer. Pavitra, Vishnu Prasad, Kirti, Haripriya Mohan, Shweta Manivannan, Sai Subramanian, Balaji. Yes, all of you are right, and more specifically, you are right. See, all of us can conclude this is not an export of service, but it requires a little detailed attention here. The moment you come out and say it is not an export of service, the next trigger point to me is it leviable to GST, a next transaction? Kindly understand, export of service itself is liable to GST, but you have an option, you can pay tax and export goods, you can, without payment of tax also, you can export goods. Again, certain benefits are available that when we go to export discussion, we will not make now. But what is more important for us is the moment it is not an export of service, yes, you have the real challenges stepping into the place when it is not a export of service. Why? One of the conditions of section 2 subsection 6 is not satisfied, which money should come in convertible foreign currency only. Some kind of forex, Singapore dollar, Australian dollar, Dubai dirham, something, but not Indian currency. Sir, am I allowed in Indian currency? Yes, you are allowed in Indian currency only if it is a permitted transaction. What do we mean by permitted transaction? If you are going to supply goods or services to Nepal, to Bhutan, then it is a permitted transaction. Let me repeat, it's a permitted transaction. So if you are going to, in case, receive some services, sorry, in case if I receive payment from Nepal or Bhutan, at that time what you will say? At that time I will treat it as export of service. But Nepal and Bhutan is an exceptional discussion. But for Nepal and Bhutan, everybody, here and all, it's USA. So from USA, you are forced to get dollars. Otherwise, not an export of service. It will not stop there. Liable to GST. Of course, no doubt as interstate supply. Refer your section 7 subsection 5. Section 7 subsection 5 will come out and say supplier outside India, place of supply in India, it would be treated as an interstate supply. That we'll get into one more discussion on this, or one more combination rather than discussion, one more combination. In fact, that combination only I want to discuss now, more important, because all the other combinations can be brought in. No doubt, money and all is received in forex, but this time, what is it? Supplier and recipient are distinct person, meaning thereby supplier is HO, head office of a particular company. Recipient is a foreign branch. If this be the case, place of supply will be, sorry, export of service, not an export of service, leviable to GST, not leviable to GST. Quick, maybe the last combination. Yes, quick. A little important. Mark my word. 10 solid mark is this topic. Don't underestimate this topic. Otherwise, I would not spend, I would not invest about closely to 6.5 hours on this topic. My regular time itself is 8 hours, including the practical session associated with it. So much is a content oriented in this topic, because you might be good in Levy, you might be good in all other topic. Slippery area is this topic. Make yourself comfortable. Question is this: supplier is in India, recipient outside India, place of supply outside India, money received in Forex, but supplier and recipient are distinct person, a person of same establishment, but only is located in two geographical places. Ajinomoto Inc. Japan and Ajinomoto Inc. India. But both are what? Japanese based Ajinomoto Inc. company. Shimu's Incorporation, Japan, Shimu's Incorporation, India. Both of them are head office branch office. Real head office branch office. This is what is head office branch office. இவங்கெல்லாம் சொல்றாங்களே அதெல்லாம் இல்ல head office branch office. This is what is a real head office branch office. A head office branch office means that both books will be merged wherever you are in the world for the purpose of disclosure. Then you become a head office branch office. Sir, our both books will be consolidated and present. Brother, then you are not head office branch office. You are companies under a same group. One word you will have for consolidated. Companies under same group. Yes. True. Yes. So I don't have much difficulty. For me, it's simple. It will not be treated as an export of service, and it will be leviable too. Done. Yes. True. Till here, true. Yes. Because you have the last, remind that last situation alone should be read along with exempted services. Now itself, I'm cautioning you. If you want to make a note somewhere, you are doing some notes somewhere, also refer exempted services. You have to refer this exempted services for this transaction. Yes. Why are exempted services? விஷயம் இருக்கு. அது அங்க போகும்போது பார்த்துப்போம். ரொம்ப லோடு ஜாஸ்தி ஆயினே போகுது. இதுவே ஜாஸ்தி போதும். இந்த லெவல்ல நிறுத்தம். Done. Can we move forward? Yes. If you all want a break, I'll give a break and then step into one of your exempt place of supply for discussion. Else we can continue. I leave it to you. If you all feel you want a break, we'll take a break. 5 minutes break. Nothing great and all. 5 minutes break. Else we can continue. Means we can continue. Quick. So what I can do, Prasad, majority of them type will continue. So I will go by democratic country now. So people who want to break, they have to ask. If you ask, you will get. Then now the break count is more. So what should we do? You need to break. Huh? We'll take 5 minutes break. I know this is a load. You have to digest it. Take a break. Have a glass of water and come. It will get digested. Thank you. We'll join in 5 minutes. We'll start the session by 8. 7 minutes is there. Enjoy. Getting into section 13 of IGST Act, as we have highlighted earlier, it's a common section which discuss about both import of service as well as export of service in a little different way, where section 13 is coined as determination of place of supply, where either location of supplier or location of recipient of service is outside India. If either supplier is outside India, we need to refer back to section 13, or recipient is outside India, we need to refer back to section 16, 13. Sir, both are outside India. Discussion itself is not warranted. Why? That is, a transaction happens outside India. In what way Indian government is connected with that transaction, but for exceptional in nature. So both supplier and recipient are in India, then I'm sure section 12 will take care of that discussion. So that is how the whole discussion moves. So as far as section 13 is concerned, as usual, like section 12, section 13 also goes on a same model. Generally, location of recipient is going to be place of supply of service. Location of recipient of service is going to be place of supply when all those services which are other than those covered services from 3 to 13. If any services covered by the specified list, place of supply will be determined as per specified list. If any services is covered by, not covered by specified list, then only it will be covered by the general entry. General entry is the one that we will refer last. Recollect our section 12, list 1, list 2. If a service is covered somewhere here, that would be applicable. If a service is not covered by the specified list, then we will go to the general entry. Same way. What do we have as specified services? Nothing great here, all known to you only. Performance-based services, immovable property-based services, event-based services. Sorry. Transportation of, intermediary services, transportation of goods, transportation of passengers, onboard conveyance service, OIDAR service, 8 entries. Okay. Now, 8 entries. When it comes to this discussion, a little important discussion is the first one, performance-based services. If a service is not covered by the specified list, then only you can use general. My humble request, it is not after 3 we will go to 4. No, we have to rule, after 2 we will go to 3. We have to rule out 3 to 13. If it is covered between 3 to 13, then that is place of supply. Place of supply has to be determined only that. If 3 to 13 is not applicable, then only we will come to 13 to general entry. So it's always specific versus general. Specific will prevail over a general entry. This is a general entry. Performance-based services. 13.3. My target, let me repeat it. I'm not inclined to complete it full. My target is 13.3, 13.4, 13.5. That's all. Followed by 13.6 and 7 if possible. Otherwise also I'm comfortable with just three targets only, 3 subsections. All 3 are important. To start with, performance-based services. Where any services are supplied by a person, which requires when the goods are physically made by the recipient of service to the supply of service for provision of service, either to the supplier or to any other person, the place where the service is performed, that would become place of service. When goods are made available by the recipient of service to supplier of service. As a service recipient, you carry the goods, make it available to the supplier. Supplier comes and does something. The place where the service is performed, that would become place of supply. Take care of any repair and maintenance activity. Take care of any job work related activity. Take care of any processing related activity on goods. Certification, testing services. What kind of testing? All testing. Certification, testing, calibration, anything that require to do installation, erection, commissioning, all this is part and parcel of it. The place where the services are performed, that will become place of service. A company has imported a machinery. After import of machinery from China, they paid $5,000 to the Chinese company for installation of this machinery. Once this machinery reaches the Indian ground, as per the contract, they have to pay 5,000 rupees. For 5,000 rupees, what that fellow will do is he'll send a technocrat to India. The technocrat will say you have to uninstall the machine. Sorry, you have to install the machine like this. You have to unpack it like this and install it, fit it, run it so that the machine runs. Now, where the recipient of the goods now make the goods available to the supplier of service. Supplier of service is Chinese fellow. His representative is in India to do some work. The place where the machine is installed, that will become place of supply. I mean, the machine is going to be installed, that will become place of supply. So this time we are not installing a machine. This time we go test the machine and come back. See it, and whether it is as per the purchase order, we'll certify it and come back. Testing and certification related services. Good. If you go to that place also, the supplier, the recipient of the service should allow you to make the goods available to you. Yes, come and test my machine. He has to say. When the goods are made available by the recipient of service to the supplier of service, the place where the services are performed. A UK-based company has its consultants in India, more specifically Tamil Nadu, Chennai. A company by name called as Technip India Limited, who's expert by himself on testing and certification, precision to the core certification and all. He has clients throughout 130 countries. They say, we UK-based manufacturing company, we engage you to provide test certificate in the respective place, whether the machine is good or not. So Technip was appointed. Technip is appointed for a standard fee. The technical person travel day per day, $7,500. All travel cost, other reimbursements are extra. UK-based company was convinced. First trip they went to. Supplier of service is Indian company, Technip India Limited. Recipient of service is a UK-based company. The whole testing happened in Dubai. Whole testing, because from UK they sent a mission to Dubai. The Dubai fellow is also convinced because Technip is a world-renowned company. So when Technip gives a certificate, that's fine. So when you have a certificate from TUV India Limited, then that's the end of the day. They said, yes, we'll accept it. So technocrats from Chennai, went to Dubai, inspected the mission. By the time mission reached Dubai, customs duty was paid, the factories of the respective company it went, and that Dubai company is a recipient of goods, make available the goods either to the supplier or to any other person authorized by supplier, the place where the services performed. Where the services are performed, Dubai will become place of service. Just a very simple entry, don't complicate it. So at this time, the service is not happening in Dubai. Mission comes from UK to Bombay. This company is appointed by UK to go and inspect the mission in Bombay. They went and inspected the mission in Bombay. They sent an invoice. Very comfortably, place of supply is India. Now look the challenge here. This section told you only India. This section told you place of supply is the place where the services perform. Goods came to Bombay port from the UK company. UK company supplied the goods to Bombay port. The fellow who is in Bombay cleared the goods, brought the goods into his factory. Some testing services they do. See what it has to produce, what speed it has to work. It is working. Here take an independent certificate from a technical consultant. Technip goes and does this foreign behalf of his recipient located outside India. Supplier is Technip in India. Recipient is outside India, but unfortunately, place of supply is India. Is it an export of service? Answer is no, because it's not an export of service. Other composition. See, section 13.3 never told it is an export of service or not an export of service. Section 13.3 read along with 2 subsection 6, you will get that answer. Section 13.3 read along with 2 subsection 6. Further, if you read it along with section 7 subsection 5, you will confirm that there is a levy under section 5.1. So 4 section is in row. 13.3, 2 subsection 6, 7 subsection 5, and 5 subsection 1. I am not sure how many of you all aligned it right like this. If you aligned it right like this, then you are done with your case study question. Your case study question will be like this only. 13.3 read along with 2.6, where you will conclude it's not an export of service. Hence, as per 7.5, it will be an interstate supply. If it is an interstate supply, your levy will come as per 5.1. Yes, this 4 sections together. Can any of you able to appreciate it? Yes. Quick. Yes or no? 4 section we discussed together. 13.3 read along with 2 subsection 6. Further discussed with 7.5 and 5.1. All are IGST Act for your information. Yes, quick. By the time you reach 5.1 only, you can conclude this is not an export of service, hence it is leviable to GST. Quick. Because this is what is case study question. Case study question. You will not get all information in one place. One section will give one information. This section purposes just gives you place of supply. Another section is there that will say you when something will be export of service. Another section is there that will say you how to treat an export of service transaction. The moment you know how to treat an export of service transaction, then you will step into the respective transaction. Only 2 of you have said yes. So that's a very high downside to me of the number of people, more than 50 of you. Quick. Third count, yes. Fourth count, yes. Fifth count, yes. Which means 10% of the crowd. Understand? Case study question is not something separate, not something new, not something which will come out of the world and all. Case study questions, scenario questions are questions combining the sections in a particular order. This is one order. When you read through this, you'll get a resultant. That resultant, if I put it here, my answer will be 2 variables. That variable will further decide me to go in one direction. Otherwise variable will further decide me to go in other direction. Are you taking right decisions is going to be your case study question. Make yourself comfortable. Otherwise, whatever sections I have highlighted, make a note of it, read through it, and then try for whether you could able to handle all this. Because no joke, from a CMA perspective, solid, in my humble view, at least 20 marks plus is in case study. They say 30 marks is in case study. I doubt many times. Sometimes is it a case study question or a direct question? I have a doubt by myself. At least 20 marks is on scenario question. From a CS perspective, we don't have any guidance like that, but every question is coined in a particular scenario based. CA altogether different. He'll ask from the world, okay, somewhere the fellow who's going to test the question paper will go for a very high, deep meditation. At an enlightened moment, he will take up a question that will be on top of the world question, where with a little subtle difference, the whole situation will change in the same direction. In the same direction. Sir, what is that subtle difference? We will go when we will that moment we will know. That subtle difference change. Because of that subtle difference change, whole case study position will change. Okay, he's good in that. He's good in that. He'll give you. People will say no. Give the elephant, hold the tail. I'm not sure. Have you heard this idioms? Give the elephant, hold the tail. Because in the same way, he'll give you the elephant. You will see, what is this? Such a easy question. 13, 3, 2 subsection 6, 7, 5, 5, 1. அப்படியே predicted line ல இருங்க. 13, 3 ஓட ஒரு proviso டெஸ்ட் பண்ணுவோம். அது உரைக்கணும். 13, 3 ஓட proviso வேற மாதிரி இருக்கு. So it will go to 13, 2. So it is 13, 2 read along with 2 subsection 6. Then read along with 7, 5 and 5, 1 will give you altogether different answer. That's their art. Okay? It's a pakka art. Beyond that, I would not say anything. Yes, we'll come back. Sir, what is that question? I'll give you that question. I'll give you that question. Don't be bothered. First, we will discuss that point and then we'll take the question. Yes, in case of services which are supplied to an individual, which requires the physical presence of the individual, the place where the services are performed, that would become place of service. You can think of some makeover services, or you can think of any other services, personal grooming, any one-to-one training, or any training which requires the physical presence of that individual. Services supplied to an individual who is either a representative of recipient of service. He can be a representative. He not be a recipient. He can be a representative of recipient of service, which requires the physical presence of the individual in that location with supplier of service. Supplier of service and recipient of service has to be one-to-one. It's going to be a one-to-one counseling, maybe transactions like that. Place of supply will be the place where the services are actually performed. Somehow of late, people traveling to Philippines and one more country is also there, and doing doctor in those countries are increasing. Philippines and one more country, I forgot. One is Philippines, I'm sure, and one more area. We have people now, they are all becoming doctors, not by reading in India. In India only we have these challenges and all.
NEET, all this competitive exam. Is it required, not required? It's a debate by itself. Okay, I'm not getting into that debate, but when it comes to certain certain colleges outside India, they accept Indian students, not in a very great way, a limited level. Now, the challenge to these outside Indian students is the way in which Indian surgeries happen, the way in which surgeries happen in the international forum are all little different. They need to get exposed to Indian surgery platforms, though because end of the day, they're going to practice only over here. And there is some signing agreement between MCI and those foreign governments, all that stuff and all. Both the government recognize as part of their exchange program, people can go from here to here, here to here, all that is possible. Or to a hospital, a well-versed hospital in Tamil Nadu, students from Philippines come as part of this program for 25 days. Just observe what the senior surgeon of an open heart surgery does. What the senior surgeon of a liver transplant surgery does. If they are students who specialize on liver transplantation, because we have a state-of-the-art technology in India, that too in more specifically Tamil Nadu on certain transplant-related matters. Some of the works that are done in London, that work is done here, and I would say even beyond that, because we have such kind of people over here who are all so meticulous. The work that they do, what they call it as the liver transplant from X to Y in a particular way. Just understand this liver transplant is going to run for about more than 18 hours. It's a surgery that is done for minimum of 18 hours. That is the moment the knife touches the body and the moment the last thread is locked. It's an 18-hour surgery. The senior surgeon itself will be part of the surgery for a period more than 12 hours. At least I have been told. 8 to 12 hours. Complicated surgery, 12 hours, 8 hours. The liver nerves will be so minute than the individual hair. So, the liver which has been organ donor's liver has to be matched with that liver of the current person who's before him. So, typical, it's high intensive surgeries, extra activities is required, a real care is required, all that is required. Beyond all this, money is also required, no doubt. It would cost easily half a crore of rupees. So coming back here, our core discussions on all this is students from various countries come here, observe all this. They are just observers. They would not be part of those surgery. They'll just observe. There would be a window. From that window, they'll observe. That's all. And they have to present a paper. What was the step process? All this. Take up this unique activity like this. Services are supplied by these hospitals to another hospital located outside India, where that hospital or that educational research institution or a university send their students as their representative, and their students are imparted knowledge in India. Supplier of service, recipient of service has to come in contact. Place where the service is performed, that would become place of service. You can take it up as a very simple transaction of makeover services. You can think as high as possible. I have just given you both examples. An easy example here is personal grooming. Personal grooming is the easiest example. Makeover services are the easiest example. A high-end example is a technical coaching, technical imparting of knowledge that happens on some of those programs, exchange of students programs between one hospital or research center to another hospital or research for consideration, So transactions like this, the place where the services are performed, that would become place of supply. moving forward. When goods are imported for repairs into India and exported after repairs from India, it would be deemed that this section is not applicable. In fact, this is the proviso I was highlighting. Goods imported into India for repair processing further step. That goods are exported back outside India without use, then this section is not applicable. Kindly make a point here. Goods comes into India, you do the repair, and then you send back that goods to outside India. Goods goes outside India, but end of the day, your work is only repair services. On a plain reading of 13.3, the place where the services perform, that will become place of supply. Because the goods are exported back without use after repairs, this section is not applicable. This is a beautiful, beneficial section for all the job workers in India. They bring the goods, process the goods, convert into finished goods, send it back outside India without use. Maybe that word is missing here. Without use is a crucial word. Again, exported back without use. After repairs, after processing, after anything. Then this section is not applicable. Sir, when this section is not applicable, where should I go? You'll go and see other specified sections. If nothing is applicable, you'll go back to the general entry. Location of recipient will become place of supply. Careful entry from an exam perspective. Than the earlier two entries, this is little important because it should strike to somebody. Because often when we read it, performance-based services, the place where the service is performed, that will become place of supply. This is one exception. We have another exception to this rule. This is the exception to the rule. Another exception to the rule. If any services provided from a remote location by electronic means, any services performed from remote location by electronic means. People never came personally to coach you. People never came personally to identify the problem. They sat on their conference room. The concerned person took a camera and ran through the whole mission. By seeing that mission, they certified it. They told this is the problem, that is the problem. Take there, take a measurement for me. They show me it in the inch tape. There's so much length, so much size. Yes. They gave evaluation report. After their evaluation, all their evaluation is through video conferencing, electrical mode, this, that, all that stuff. The question before us is, what will be the place of supply? The place where the mission is located. Let me repeat. The place where the goods are situated will become place of supply. Infosys backs a contract of British Telecoms to maintain British Telecom's server. British Telecom server is located in UK, one of the particular area. Company is also there. Now any person will go there and do some corrections, sir. Everyone will sit here. Virtually, they'll go and configure the mainframe server, which is located over there. Is it possible? Yes, possible. Then very simple. The place where the information technology asset is located, that will become place of supply. So core discussion of it is where the asset is located. If the services are provided from a location by electronic means, the place where the asset is located, that would become, or the goods is located, that would become the place of supply. The goods located, the goods located at the time of supply of service. That is also important. When the service is done, at the time where the goods was. Now you can also transfer the goods. At the time where the goods was located there, that would become place of service. So a performance-based services. By the way, electronic means is it electronic network, or somebody shows a video cam, other person sees in Skype, and that can also be considered as electronic means. Electronic network, electronic means. Both words are same or different. When we get into that understanding, electronic means is a wider word. Electronic network is a very, very small word. Very small word, electronic network. Electronic means is a completely wide word which in-houses various aspects associated. So, two provisos. Two provisos are important proviso. Any services which requires the where when the goods are physically made available by the recipient to supplier or to any other person on behalf of supplier for provision of service, the place where the service is performed, that would become place of supply. In case services are provided to individuals, which requires the physical presence of the individual. See, be it in goods, you require that physical presence. Be it be it in individuals, you require that physical presence for supply of services. The place where the service is performed, that would become place of supply. In case all those goods imported into India for some repair purposes, after repair, refurbishment or rework or processing, goods goes back outside India without use, place of supply will be not place of supply for that kind of transaction will not be determined as per this section. In case goods are done through electronic means, digital networks, electronic means, electronic modalities, the place where the asset is located, that would become place of supply. A very, very important entry, 13.3. Getting into a very simple entry, which always we remember this entry, at no stretch of imagination, this entry is difficult to us. Any services supplied by expert, any services supplied by estate agent, or any services by way of accommodation of hotel, renting of property, or any services in connection with construction, the place where the immovable property is located, that would become place of supply. It could be architect services, engineering services, licensed surveyor services, or it is going to be foreign construction. From foreign country, a consultant comes and provides some services to India, or Indian fellow provide some architect services to foreign country. Whatever be, for all the place where the immovable property is located, that would become place of supply. Location of immovable property would become place of supply. Event-based services could be either admission of an event or organizing of event. Be clear, both. Not like your domestic transaction. In domestic transaction, both were different entry. Here, both are single entry. Admission to event or organizing of event, whatever be it. Or any support services provided in connection with the event, the place where the event is actually held. Where the event is going to be held, or specified events or celebrations or anything. It could be organizing of celebrations, also organizing of cultural fair, conferences. The place where the event is held, that would become place of supply. Yes, as I promised, I'll stop here. This all requires a little more technical reading. We have to revisit our, we have to revisit our understanding from 13.3, 13.4, and 13.5, and then step into 13.6 and 7, which talks about activity happens in India and an activity happens outside India at that moment, how it has to be classified. So that sums up our discussion. Thank you all for an effective and patient